started, just a notice, you're being recorded. We record all of our meetings. We post resources, slides, anything that we use during the meeting afterwards. And you can check it out at our archive, ACMUC.org/archive, if you're interested in seeing any of that. Also make sure you fill out our attendance because it's how we order pizza, and it also determines if you get voting rights, at least for ACM. If there's any, I don't know if IEEE has anything that you guys want people to fill out for attendance. We can just send you ours maybe.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. For those of you who don't know what ACM is, here's a little plug to ACM UC. So we're a group of students building around computers, technology, and software. We host workshops, tech talks, hackathons, other events. All majors are welcome. We follow the code of conduct, which you can find on our website at acmuc.org/conduct. And we also follow the UC code of conduct. So if you're ever interested, you can check those documents out. We offer academic services, like programming review sessions, and we also offer office hours, so review for tests, do homework, all that kind of stuff in rows A to 2A, Monday 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. and Thursday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Slack. If you're not on Slack, join it. It's the best way to keep in touch with the ACM community. You can do that at acmcincy.com or .slack.com/slack. Our social. So this is the ACM social. It's going to happen on Tuesday, December 3rd. We're going to meet at 6:30 p.m. in the circle in front of CCM, and from there we're going to go bowling and then stop for food afterward. It's free for anyone who wants to go. Just make sure you fill out the attendance link beforehand, which we will post in Slack at some point after the meeting. So stay tuned for that. Everyone from all three groups here tonight is welcome. It's a great event, and it's all about having fun and getting to know other members of the community. Also, keep your eyes peeled for a review session on core programming concepts and data structures. Details will be coming soon, and we're hoping to have that at some point before finalists, so you guys can review that. Now that brings us to our main event for today, a student panel with members of ACM, IEEE, and ACM-W. I want to welcome everyone up. We've got Will Cupp, Sydney O'Connor, Andrew Ginshaw, and Brendan Link. All right. So, whatever order you guys want. So go ahead and go down the line, introduce yourselves, say what program you're in, share anything you think is relevant or interesting.
I'm Will Cupp, computer science major, and I'm in the ACEND program for Master's of Science.
Hi, I'm Sydney O'Connor. I am doing my undergrad in computer engineering, and I'm doing my master's of engineering in computer science.
Andrew Hanshaw. I'm a fourth year in senior design, electrical engineering student. I'm going for my MBA.
And I'm Brendan Link. I'm a fourth year computer science undergrad student, and I'm going for my MBA through ACEND as well.
All right, so does anyone here have any particular questions that you want to see? We can open it up for anyone. Yes, Maddie.
Why don't you go through and say why you decided to join ACEND in the first place?
That's a good idea. You guys want to answer that?
I skipped this one. It sounded like a good idea. Before coming to college, I had a bunch of credits from another university, and I feel like the ACEND program offered me a lot for a very low price of $0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say similarly. I actually originally chose the ACEND program because I, coming to engineering, really wanted to go the management route. So my plan from the beginning was to come and get my MBA. That actually ended up changing when I actually enjoyed the technical side of things and kind of found interest in that side as well. But I still really, so that's why I switched to doing master's of engineering. But I still really enjoy how the ACEND program is able to help me get the most out of my 5 years here. In my mind, dropping one co-op to get a whole extra degree is definitely worth it.
Yeah, and I was kind of in the same boat. Actually, before I came to college, one of the reasons I chose to go to UC was because of the ACEND program. I didn't know which track I wanted to do originally. And then as I did my first 2 co-ops, I kind of realized I want to do the project management route. And a lot of companies do pay for you to get your MBA. But while I was at Northrop Grumman and while I was at Marathon, I knew people who were going through that process and they were kind of struggling. So I kind of thought I would rather just get it done, go to school, get it done, and then be done. That's kind of why I chose to do it.
And for me, just like Andrew said, one of the big reasons that I came to UC, aside from the co-op program, was also the ACMED program. And like Cynthia said, I always sort of wanted to go into the management route. For me, I love technology, but I also love business just as much as I love technology, and sort of combining the two together is a sort of unique trait. Not a lot of people can do that. And so the ACMED program at UC really allows you to do that coming straight out of school. Definitely there's a lot of people who I've seen in the professional workforce trying to get their MBA while they're working full-time. And I've just seen it's a struggle for a lot of people. It's a lot of, go into class for 4 hours at night after you've already been working for 9 hours a day and not seem fun. So for me, I just kind of wanted to get everything done at once and learn about both the technology and business side. And ultimately, it's led me to, even during internships, being in management roles where I've led a number of engineering teams. So.
Very cool. JT?
Yes. What is the difference between the Master of Science and Master of Engineering?
So the main difference between your MS and MN is that the Master of Science is more research-based, so your degree is going to end in presenting a thesis, whereas the Master of Engineering is exclusively coursework-based. So you'll be taking a little bit more classes than an MS student would, and you'll just do a small capstone project at the end as opposed to a big thesis. So you can choose both. Typically, especially if you're thinking about pursuing a PhD, MS is for sure the way to go if you enjoy research, whereas the MN is more geared towards someone looking to go into industry. That's been at least my experience with it. I don't know if you have anything else.
All right. Cool. Any other questions? Okay. Let's see. Do you guys have any words to say about ACCEND electives?
In what sense?
Like planning out
graduate
ACCEND
courses to take?
electives? What are your recommendations for that? Because I found in my process, planning out your electives and what they're going to count for is always a big thing that takes a lot of planning.
I think it's 6 credit hours max when you're undergraduate, or before your 5th year. You're only allowed to take 6 credit hours. I found that taking just 3 credit hours is pretty manageable. So if you can handle 6 every semester, go for it.
Yeah, for MBA, it's a little different. The school doesn't have anything planned more than a semester out. Actually, they do not have anything planned more than a semester out. So you can plan your schedule, but they're pretty flexible. And most classes are offered every semester in the winter college, just not over the summer. And then when we were picking electives, I know the MBA students typically can do like higher level finance class, a higher level management class, higher level operating systems class. You can't do IT, information systems for your electives. But there are electives along with like the core you have to choose. And it's better to go with a professor you know or you've taken before and you're comfortable with. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And I think something to add to Andrew's point is that this is specific to the MBA program for ACCEND, but for MBA, you can only take in-person classes at night, so they might offer classes during the daytime at the school, but because the College of Business has full-time MBA programs for students who directly apply to those, ACCEND MBA students are in the same program that any person who works 9 to 5 and takes a MBA after their work hours is in. So you're locked out from taking classes during the day. So definitely for planning, especially around electives or honestly any class with the ACCEND MBA, you want to be able to plan so that you can take night classes for MBA courses.
Also, what about the credit limit for MBA? That's different, right?
Yeah, and so the credit limit for MBA, well, there's a couple of things I'll touch on that. One is that aside from just doing classes in person at night, you can also take courses online for credits. However, they sort of say that you have to take less than half of your credits online, and then half have to be in person. But additionally, the MBA full-time is 20 credit hours that you can take. I don't know if it's any different for MS or
Like your whole thing is
Your
20
whole-
credit
yeah.
hours? Okay, yeah, and then just 30, so.
Oh, no, not the whole thing. I meant per semester.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
Yeah. Because of the MBA is more credit hours also.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going, yes,
So,
20 per semester.
The full-time, like, tuition, like for a graduate MBA, starts at 10 credit hours and goes to 20. So the minimum is also 50. And they're also all half-semester courses, which is different from like here.
Yeah. Again, because a lot of people taking the MBA, we're in the same track that anybody who's working full-time and getting their degree after work would be in. So a lot of classes are more like half sessions that people can break up and take it over the course of years.
Anyone else have anything in particular?
I'm not sure if you said this or not, but how many, do you usually take like 18 credit hours towards your senior year?
Yeah, so it kind of depends on how you plan it out from the beginning. And like that also kind of goes into if you drop your co-op or not. The ACMED program is like very personalized per student. So personally, I could have chosen to do all 5 of my co-ops, and I would have been close to like 21 credit hours all of my semesters. But I didn't want to do that, so instead I dropped my co-op, and now I'll be at like 12 and 15 senior year because I want to enjoy my life. So it's really up to you however you want to do it, but generally the more credits you come in with, the further ahead, the earlier you kind of start managing things together, the less credit hours you're going to have, but typically your semesters will be pretty full.
Planning is very important.
Mhm.
That's one thing I've
Same for MBA.
Yes?
So what are the options that you have for ACCEND? Is it just like MBA, MS, and MEng, or is there something else?
There was also,
There is technically an option to do like your master's of teaching. Like
yeah, it's master in instruction.
Yeah, that's what it is. I don't think that's super common, but it is. That's typically if you want to teach like high school or middle school students, not like college students. You would need like a PhD for that. But
You need to teach like 2 levels below you,
something like that.
Yeah, that's how teaching licenses normally work. But to see if you can do a certain MS program, we have a chart on the ACCEND website and the UC website that shows you what's compatible with your current path. Because especially for MS, there are a lot of prereqs you need to take before you can take some of the higher level courses. For MBA, there's not so much. Pretty much everyone can take the MBA. You still have to take the prereqs, but it's more manageable.
But generally, you can do anything within our department. Like you can do EE, CS, or CompU without any issues. It's just going to be an issue if you want to do your master's in like mechanical engineering.
Or chemical.
Right.
When, so I know like some classes that they'll have like grad students and undergrad in the same class. Are the requirements always the same for those, or is there a time when you have to get the grad level of the course, you have to have like a different prereqs or something?
The prereqs are generally the same, but the courses just look a little different. Different professors do it different ways. Like in IEA, we're on a different grading scale. So like undergraduate students are going to get higher grades. Different classes will have the same grading scale, but graduate students have more coursework. So it just kind of depends. But typically the prereqs are the same.
My embedded class right now, it's a sharing with the graduate students, and the grade is the same.
Okay, and then they just have to do something extra. Or...
No.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, they don't.
Yeah, a lot of that really comes down to the professor.
It just comes down to
For your graduate programs, is there anything that you hated to it that you discovered that you did this
For MBA, so a lot of engineers have like this idea about the business college that it's super easy compared to engineering. And while it's not easy, it is less work. Like generally speaking, a lot less time you have to put into the class. But you can get through almost any business class just by putting in, a certain amount of effort. But to actually learn from a class, you need to put in more effort. So you really get out of it what you put in. Yeah, I mean, really, you can learn a lot from any business class you take at Lender, but you don't have to.
Yeah. And I absolutely agree with that. And one of the things that I found in comparison to a lot of the engineering courses is, I feel like at least in the ECS department, a lot of our courses are very theoretical, whereas a lot of business courses are much more practical. They're looking at case studies and numbers from actual companies. You know, in my accounting course that I'm in right now, every chapter we analyze a different company's financial statements from the year, and that's really cool to be able to relate it to like real world numbers and a real company and real problems that they face and learnings from that. So I think that the business program, a lot of what we're learning is very practical in nature, while a lot of what we're learning in at least the upper level CS courses that I'm in right now is much more theoretical in nature. So.
And then when we're taking these classes, we're taking them with professionals as well, who are engineering or just who need one an MBA. And you're in a group and you don't know sometimes until you read their introduction that they're, you know, really high up in their company and they're just coming to get their MBA. And it's pretty cool to work with them.
What was the process like getting into the ACCEND program?
So applying to the ACM program is actually pretty easy. I think you can apply anytime after your first year, and the only requirement is that you have a 3.2 GPA. And as long as you maintain that, that's all you need to get in. You have to get like signatures from your academic advisor and like a couple different people in the department, and that's about it. So that's pretty straightforward.
I think it used to be more selective, but as it's gone on, I think as the deans of the college have changed, they decided that ACCEND should be more accessible to all students who have the credits and the desire to succeed doing that.
But there is that GPA limit.
Yes,
So
there
that's
is a
why it's
GPA.
important to do well in the first time doing
But I
the
think
graduate.
you can apply at any point after, like you can apply as like as late in your college career as you want.
Yeah.
It just is going to add more time into graduation if you
So-
don't plan it later.
Yeah, and then for the MBA, and I don't know how it is for MS or MN, but we have a different graduate GPA too that was also like keeps us eligible for the
Yeah.
program. So if you just need to make sure your first like class you take,
Yeah.
you don't fail.
Yeah. And then additionally for the MBA, for applying to it, it's a little bit of a different process than MS or MN because MS and MN are still within the ECS department. So you're going to get a completely different advisor for your graduate program who you're going to have to meet with and then apply to the business school. If you've been accepted into the MBA program, it's essentially automatic, but you have to fill out the MBA application and then you have sort of a separate career, like Andrew was saying, in Catalyst where you have a separate GPA for all of your master's coursework. So.
Any other questions?
Did you consider other options like before choosing the ACCEND program? Like double majoring?
Like compared to other options of like graduate work or double major, why
Can you
is
double
ACCEND?
major? I actually don't know. Can you?
It's more common to do like a outside of public engineering double major. But yeah.
For me, I know one of the options that I considered because I knew I wanted to get a business degree and an engineering degree was doing sort of the traditional path of finishing my undergrad, going to work full-time somewhere, and then getting that degree as I was working there at night. But for me, having worked, on 3 or 4 internships by now, I've noticed a lot of the people that are doing that, they just seem very stressed out. If you're working every day, you're getting up at 8 and going into work, leaving at 5, and then having classes from 6 to 10 p.m. And that was something that I didn't want to do. It seemed to me like I would rather just get all of my schooling done ahead of time and then go into the workforce having my MBA already sort of behind my back and over with. And so I did consider the other options, but for me, because of the ability to just get everything done at once and combine the business and technology classes at the same time, that's why I wanted the ACM program.
Yeah, and as I said, I thought about maybe like minoring or like not necessarily double majoring, but just spending my time another way. But from like looking at it in terms of a financial sense, a master's degree is a lot more valuable than a minor or a double minor or even a double major. So if you have the room in your schedule, that's how I recommend using it. I think it's the most effective way to do it.
And I don't know how much a double major would really do for you, because if you have an engineering degree, you could pretty much do whatever you want. I think people recognize the work that goes into an engineering degree. You just need to show wherever you're applying to that you have knowledge in that area, right? And that can come from school or from just personal research and time.
All right. So one thing that I haven't heard a lot of questions graduate scholarships. Do you guys want to talk about how graduate scholarship stuff works?
Because we'll talk about the MS first.
I think once you're in your fifth year, you have to start the graduate level tuition. And I believe you're automatically enrolled for the graduate scholarship, so it ends up being a lot less than what you would normally pay. Yeah, other than that, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, so I know for like the MN, your first 4 or so years, while you're taking graduate classes, as long as you're taking less than 6 credit hours, you can take them at the undergraduate rate, so you're not paying anything additional. It's not until your 5th year, maybe even last semester, when you declare yourself as a full-time graduate student that you have to start paying the graduate rate, and then that's when, like he mentioned, you will qualify for the ACMED scholarship. The MS actually provides a little bit more than the MN does, and typically MS you're also doing research, which is also paid, which can help pay for your degree. But for your MN, I want to say it's like Alex, do you know, it's like a $2,000 scholarship, something like that.
I think so.
But it makes it, essentially you're essentially just paying the undergraduate rate. I think that's kind of what it does, is it takes it down from how expensive it normally is. So it's a good deal.
And what about, how does that blend with undergraduate scholarships? If you're doing graduate and undergraduate work?
So, well, when you're still declared an undergraduate student, you can still use your undergraduate scholarships.
So specifically, you need 12 credit hours, and the majority of them need to be undergraduate. And then you get your undergraduate scholarship. You get to keep. You may have to fight with Cincinnati, because I didn't know this beforehand, and now I'm taking a 1 credit hour Jennifer class. That's another story. And then for the MBA program specifically, it's pretty much the same as MN, where it's not as much, but it still brings it down to like the undergraduate rate.
Yeah, and I believe it gets automatically applied to your account if you meet a certain GPA requirement, and it's for a maximum of 2 semesters,
Yeah.
the MBA scholarship.
And you have to be a full-time graduate student for 2 semesters.
Any other?
What's been the hardest part of the ACCEND program so far?
I'd say probably the scheduling and like having to have constantly really full semesters. This semester I'm at 18, I think. Last semester I was 18, 21, just that kind of thing constantly, which is not easy. But it is worth it, I think, but it can be tiring for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, there's like 18 credit hours, but I think the hardest thing is, I don't, like, all my friends are in different classes now, just because, like, I've had to take classes early to fit them in, which was fun. I did well, and I made different friends that are about to graduate, but it's definitely hard not, like, being in the same class as, like, the rest of your friend group.
And I think one of the hardest things for me was sort of when I was initially enrolling in the program was sort of the logistics, because I was changing my undergraduate major at the same time that I was joining ACCEND. And so I got bounced between, and one of my advisors changed, so I went between like 3 different advisors within the span of like 2 semesters, and I got misinformation about the program, so I was never officially enrolled in the business program until like after I wish I should have been. And so for me, some of the logistics and just information around the program was a little bit of a headache for me to deal with. And then definitely, like Sydney said, scheduling, especially for MBA, since in person we're only limited to taking night classes, that can sometimes be sort of a pain to try to schedule around that. But so far it hasn't been too bad for me.
Anything else? All right, is there anything that you guys want to talk about that you have not heard anyone ask today? Like any advice that you want to give people?
Is anyone in here like 3rd year or lower? Okay, so there's quite a few of you that even if you haven't like thought about the ACCEND program yet, you'd be surprised how late you can apply to it and still make it work. So if it is something you're interested in, I'd definitely consider it.
Yeah.
Right. So I considered ACCEND program, but like I had to drop 1 or 2 co-ops for it, and it basically came down to spending time working versus spending time in school. So I mean, personally, I think that I can learn more while working, but like, how does that look for you guys?
Yeah, at least how I justified that, it was in my mind, like, I'm dropping one co-op as opposed to dropping a year or two after graduation in the full-time workforce to get a master's degree. Because I would say it's pretty likely that my employer would like me to either get an MS, like a Master's of Engineering or an MBA at some point. So I knew that at some point I probably would need to go back to school, and I would so much rather miss 4 months of work at a co-op now than later on down the line.
And everyone's situation is different. I know for me, I won't have to drop a co-op. So you have to weigh the pros and cons for your own personal situation, because your schedule is going to be your schedule, so and your coursework is going to be, what you can handle and what you think you can get done without, overworking yourself when you're doing these other programs. So that's another thing to consider.
Well, I definitely agree with what you said about learning more like while on the job than when you're in school. But I think for me, one of the things that really justified dropping a co-op rotation for the ACCEND program was that I was getting a degree in a completely different domain. So engineering is very focused on the technology, whereas my MBA, ACCEND, I chose to get an MBA, which is entirely different through the College of Business. And so that gives me puts me in a unique position where I have business knowledge and engineering knowledge with degrees to back them up. And so for me, that was definitely worth it to go down that path.
The other thing to keep in mind, at least in my experience, is that you want to weigh the trade-offs, right? If you feel like, considering your current work experience, right, if you feel like you want to get more work experience or a different work experience, then you may prioritize having a co-op over an extra semester of classes. So it's like Will said, everybody's different. It's a case-by-case basis. The other thing, too, is that you can always, like, instead of doing it in 5 years, you can do it in 5 years plus a semester if it comes down to that, right? It's not uncommon for people to add an extra semester or two, but you don't want to go that much further after that, or you start to lose a lot of the benefit of doing it as an ACCEND program.
I think Sydney touched on a really good point too. When you get higher up in a company, sometimes like the pay band or like the position title will be blocked by you need something by your name. So whether that's an MS, MBA, an Eng, or professional engineering license, that's something you have to consider too. If you're fine working at like the technical level, if that's what you prefer, like at the, at whatever level that company stops you at, then that's totally fine. And a lot of people do that. A lot of the older guys I worked for, that's where they were at. They loved it, but they wouldn't change a thing. But sometimes if you want to progress, sometimes you do have to go back and get a higher degree. And that's something else to weigh your options.
Something else also worth noting in that sense, is that a lot of times employers, if you graduate with a master's degree, you start at a higher pay bump, as opposed to if you go to work for them and then they pay for your master's, you don't get additional payment if you're getting it while you're already there.
Yeah, so what in the CEAS curriculum, maybe what classes are required for, like, that we would say it's a good time to start taking those higher level, like, maybe some of the classes that are like the ones that are both undergrad and elective.
Case by case basis, I would say as soon as you can start as soon as you can push things down, that's great. I can either push undergraduate classes forward, or you can push graduate classes. Careful planning is most important, and I find that, I know Andrew said it's difficult being in classes apart from people. So one thing you can do is try and figure out when your friends are taking classes, especially electives, and try to combine and take undergrad and grad at the same time, so you can have at least some of your classes with people you know.
I try to get ahead in your undergraduate before even starting to think about starting the master's program. It just makes it easier.
I think the easiest way to do it is push up tech writing, all your VOKs, anything, statistics, anything like that, push those up early in your undergrad, so you're essentially just clearing out fifth year.
You gotta look at your schedule and figure out what classes need prereqs. And you gotta take those and leave them where they're at. You can't mess with those. And if you try to, talk to your advisor first. Just because some classes are only offered once a semester, right? So your advisor is a great tool that you have to use sometimes. And then like I'm a senior designer now. I took it a year early, and I must have weased my way into it somehow, because everyone I talked to is so surprised that I did that. But it's worked out, and that's fine. I'm not any far, like I'm not behind. I can still do the project.
Anything else before we go? Well, I think that's, or yeah, go ahead.
Did any of you have to take like online classes in summer and co-op?
I took, I think, 2 online classes on co-op, tech rating and then just one of my BOKs. They're pretty low stress, but it helps to get ahead.
Does it get in the way of going co-op?
Again, I made sure to pick like the easiest classes possible so that it wouldn't. So like I didn't have much of an issue with that. I could do it like the Sunday night before co-op, and that's the only time I had to really worry about it that week. I would recommend trying, if you do classes on co-op, do like easier ones so that it doesn't interfere.
Very cool. I think if we have no more questions, then we'll wrap up the panel for today. Feel free to stay and talk to people, meet people, ask any questions on individually if you want. But that's all we've got for today, so thanks for coming out.